Heidi. I'm so glad to see you. And it's always such a pleasure to talk with you across the miles, across time zones about coaching and Fortuna. And just wanted to talk today a little bit about why do you think you're so passionate about coaching? Like, how did you get involved with it? And why do you think you care about it so deeply?
Yeah, I had a kind of a career after business school where I did a lot of different things. I worked in different corporate environments, consulting, big companies. And I think that the thing that was always a little bit missing for me was just that having that direct impact that I could see the results of. And so when I first started coaching, I think that's what really hooked me in. And it's just, I've loved it ever since. And the fact that you can actually, the work that you do, you actually see direct impact on the people that you're working with. Generally, it's quite positive. So that's nice, positive reinforcement. It's just a really lovely, I just love it. I love working with clients. They get to meet all sorts of really inspiring and obviously accomplished, but also just really dedicated and people who give me a lot of hope for the future. So it's a very good karma kind of job.
I like that too. And I love learning about them and sort of like, I get really excited when I hear like about backgrounds and thoughts for like, what's going to happen next, right? Because that's what we do so much of, okay, business school, and then what? And I agree with
Yeah,
you.
it's really inspiring to hear all the different things that are happening in the world, what they're excited about. I feel like I stay really current on topics of, current events and business trends and things that are kind of coming down the pipeline. I get really excited about all the great things that these people are going to do, and also, that the world has in store, which sometimes in this day and age, this being 2020, it can be, hard to focus on that. It's nice to focus on the positive.
I know it's a great kind of conundrum, but if you could choose one superpower, one coaching superpower that you think, and everybody says the same thing, but one superpower that you think that you bring to your clients, what do you think it would be?
Yeah, I think I guess would have something to do with finding, maybe it's not the needle in the haystack, maybe it's the thread in the haystack. I mean, I think it's, sometimes it's really hard when you have done all these things in your life. There are a lot of things that have had meaning to you, and maybe some things that you think might have meaning. And when you're trying to boil it all down into one essay or one application, it can be really hard to personally see all those things. And so I think something that I bring to the process for the clients is really helping them to find those different parts of their life that will really resonate with others, that are really maybe unique about them, or will help them to communicate their values to the admissions committee, and helping to kind of string them together. That's also can be really difficult. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. What does it all mean? So it's kind of, I think that's what I bring to the process, is just helping them kind of string those together to get a thread that hopefully will then also extend kind of into the future, which is something I think that the business schools are looking for. What is this person all about? What have they done? What decisions have they made? Why? And helping them to kind of put that all together I guess that's my superpower.
And I think it's hard when you're in it, if you're the student, you sort of don't always see from the outside what someone else might understand about your story.
Yeah, and sometimes there's two difficulties. One is maybe there's just too much, like
Right.
this person's done so many amazing things, and they're somehow related but not really, and so trying to figure that out. And then there are the other people, which I think feel like they don't have anything very unique or interesting to tell. There's nothing in their background, and that can also be really tough for them to say, I don't really have anything to say to the admissions committee. And so helping them really understand what it is about themselves that's really unique, and helping them to kind of show their own passions and influences and values can also be really great too.
I know you've had so many interesting clients over the years that you've been with Fortuna. Is there a story that stands out for you as a great client relationship, or a success story, or maybe not a success story, but just about, somebody that you were working with, and sort of what that relationship was like?
Yeah, I mean, I've had so many.
I
I've been
know
so
it's so
fortunate to
hard
have
to answer that question.
so many great clients, and I think, really unusual and amazing stories. But I think that maybe I think one recently has been really, I feel really great about. And this is someone who applied last year, was waitlisted everywhere, didn't get in off the wait list and was really kind of down about that whole thing and was pretty much thinking of giving up, I think, of the whole process. But the thing is that after having worked with him for a period of time, I'd seen how far he had come, and I really
Yeah.
felt like there was still something there. He had kind of really honed his career vision and had actually made some significant steps towards accomplishing it. And I felt like his story as a reapplicant would just be that much more compelling. And so I convinced him to reapply, but not only to reapply, but then to actually apply to 2 schools that he hadn't applied to, which were Stanford and Harvard, which he was not terribly convinced about, but and I was a little bit worried about having convinced him, knowing that those are the 2 hardest schools. But his story he really kind of blossomed over that whole period of time. And he just got interviewed by both Stanford and Harvard. So I feel like that is a huge success for me and for him, just to be able to, to see the confidence that he has gained through this whole process, to see how clear he is about what he wants to do and how he plans to use the MBA to accomplish that. I think it's been a great success.
I love that story. And I love that you convinced him to kind of go for it, that.
I know, it was a bit nerve-wracking, but we did it in the end.
Well, we'll have to check back in with you in about a month and see how things pan out. This is a crazy question also, but do you have general words of advice for someone that's going through this process? I know every single student is different and there's not a one size fits all philosophy, but do you have advice that might be helpful?
Yeah, I think that there is some advice that fits everybody. And that is, well, one I would say is to start early.
Yeah.
You can. I mean, because it is a really rigorous and daunting process. And if you leave it till the end, I think you're just leaving a lot of opportunity really on the table. I think that the process itself, which is something I think surprises a lot of people, they come into this process saying, I want to get into this school. And, at the end of this process, that's my goal. But the process itself is actually really valuable. And I find that if you give it time and you give it the attention and effort that it actually deserves, you get so much out of the process itself that is beyond just being able to get into the school of your dreams. It's really, attaining that kind of clarity of vision of why you want to apply to business school, how it fits in with your overall plans, what you want to do with your life, why. All these questions are things that people don't really sit down, especially kind of at that stage in your career where you've a few years into your career, you've had some wins, you've had some fails, you kind of you're a bit weathered by what, the professional life gives you. And it's a really great time to step back and have that perspective of really thinking about, what your next steps are and why you want to do them. It's really easy just to follow on to the next thing and not think about it and say yes to things and not be really purposeful in your decisions, especially regarding your career. So this process that we go through, that it is applying to business schools, is having to articulate what you want to do, why you want to apply to business school, how it all fits in. There's a whole heap of work behind that if you actually give it the time is incredibly valuable. So my advice is to do the whole process, to take the time, right, and to give it your all.
And not just to sort of look at it like, oh, here's a 6-week period and, this is it, like at my deadline, but to really give yourself the opportunity to really get into it. I can see.
Absolutely. And to, not think about the questions in terms of what does a business school want to hear, but to actually answer the questions honestly, because if the more honest you are and the more passionate you are about your own answers, that's going to shine through. Just trying to kind of fit a formula and tell them what they want to hear is probably not going to get you very far.
So I know that you have an MBA from the GSB, and I'm wondering, from when you think about your experience there and then looking forward, your perspective, you've worked in South America and lived in South America, you're now in Australia living and working. What are some of the things that you feel, aside from the academic piece from being at the GSB, that you've taken with you in your adventures?
Yeah, I think that the thing that I didn't really realize at the time when I went through the program was, you kind of look at it as like, I'm going to take these 2 years, I'm going to get an MBA, and then I'm going to go on. Mm-hmm. And, it's going to be that stepping stone. It's going to help me achieve my goals, which it has. But I think what I didn't expect was kind of the lifelong commitment that the school really makes to you. I mean, you really, I'm many years out from the MBA program, and I'm still benefiting from it in the sense of through my my classmates, who I'm still very close with. The alumni network is absolutely phenomenal. I use it all the time for my clients. I try to tap into that to help them kind of, do informational interviews or understand what a certain career might look like. But also just the lifelong learning opportunities. I mean, I'm always getting invitations to different webinars and learning about new trends. And, there's just so many opportunities to kind of continue to engage with the school that I didn't really expect, having, just gone through the MBA program. I thought that it would be kind of two years and then I'm done. And it isn't. It's with you forever. So I think that that's one thing that has been really fun to know and to.
And I know that you do reference your colleagues from your program, and just that network is extraordinary. It sort of seems like it keeps expanding and expanding. And I know that the students that we work with are so happy to be able to make those connections, that when you introduce them to somebody, it really can be supportive.
Yeah, and it's just always, there's always an opportunity to be involved or to give back also to that community, which is really nice to either interact with the current students, or I'm involved with the Alumni Association here in Australia. So that's been really fun as well. It's just a great way to kind of, engage with the school and with people who've gone through the same program.
So my next question for you, having lived in both Chile and in Australia, has to do with coffee. I hope you don't mind. This is a trick question. If you had to compare your favorite coffee in Chile with what you're drinking now in Australia, what would you say? I know it's a tough one.
That's not even a contest, unfortunately. The Chileans are good at some things, but the Australians really, I think, win the prize worldwide in terms of the dedication to making the perfect coffee. And I love drinking coffee. My husband has become a coffee fiend in learning how. He took a barista course, and it's every day we have like a new kind of concoction that he comes up with. But it's an art form here. It really is.
I love it, with all those beautiful designs, and
it's pretty amazing.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Heidi, for sharing your insights, for a little bit of coffee know-how, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
All right. Thanks, Judith.
Bye.